It's a phenomenon that affects human beings and discussed by a wide range of people around the world. It is that which is blamed when it comes to calamities, hardships, difficulties, and misfortunes. And it's a belief that is under discussion by Islamic theologists and scholars, whether it's a myth or a reality. The evil eye is a subject that affects human beings irrespective of their background, religion, creed, or denomination. It's an idea that many people discuss throughout their lives. And indeed, it's a concept of importance to many individuals. Because we find that when it comes to problems that happens in the lives of human beings, often one of the first areas that they would visit or perhaps blame is the so-called evil eye. It's an idea that has existed throughout many centuries, and it is one that no doubt is of significance to many people. When you look at this concept or this belief, you find that in different communities, in different cultures, they have labeled it in a different way, or there are different terminologies being used. For example, in the Arab world, the evil eye is known as Ayn al-Husud or Ayn Harra, meaning the hot eyes. In India, Pakistan, it's known as Nazar. And for example, in Japan, it's known as Jashi. These terms and all point to the notion that different communities are of the belief about this idea. When it comes to dealing with the evil eye, you'll find a rise of products and methods that people have developed in order to counteract what they say the impact of the evil eye is. In China, for example, they sell a particular mirror that people can stand in front of or they can use to repel the impacts of the evil eye. We find, for example, in this country and many other Western countries, there are products which have the so-called blue eye. These are placed in the houses and they are part of, for example, bracelets and necklaces, in order that they believe that this will be a matter which rejects the impact of the blue eye. And even celebrities such as Kim K and others have used these particular products and have come forward and made sure that people know that they use these products. The idea that today we have is that many of our people in our different communities come to the evil eye immediately when there is a problem. For example, somebody's been blessed with a new car. After a few days, they have an accident. Nazar. People who have just had a newborn baby, a few days later, falls ill. Ayn. When it comes to, for example, a new job, someone who's been promoted, after a few days, they're sacked. This is the evil eye. You recognize that it's become the first port of call as far as the reason why people explain misfortunes and difficulties. It is sometimes difficult to see individuals looking beyond the nazar, so to speak. The realization today is it has become also a business treating the evil eye. You look at Africa, for example, they have all the different means such as ruqya and others. Question I'd like to pose today is evil eye a myth or is it a reality? And if it is a reality, how can we deal with it? What are the ways in which we can counteract it and protect ourselves from it? Because as believers, we are presented with the opportunity to delve further and to ask questions, to be able to learn and to improve our understanding of important teachings, as well as, for example, certain beliefs that exist in the society, in the community. In order for us to understand the evil eye, there must be an understanding of what is known as envy or hasad. The ulama come forward and say, Quran and riwayat of the Massoumian, they talk about what is known as hasad. And hasad has to be distinguished from the evil eye. Some of the evil eye is hasad, and some of the hasad is evil eye. But sometimes some of the nazar is not hasad, and vice versa. Hasad and its understanding is part of a concept in Islamic akhlaq or mannerism, which is what? A vice. Something which we are instructed to stay away from. The Holy Prophet of Islam, Rasulullah A'zam Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, would be often asked by the companions about what they should do to excel in life, how they should, for example, become better human beings. There was a companion by the name of Hudayfa ibn Nu'man. This companion would say, other Sahaba would ask Rasulullah about virtues and how to be better, khair. I asked Rasulullah about the shar, the vices. All I did was concentrate about the what? About the vices, because I wanted to avoid them. Yes, I would seek these questions from the Holy Prophet. And the Prophet of Islam, when it comes to asking questions, would encourage this. Many times in our communities, we encounter our youngsters when it comes to their questions. If we are dismissive to their questions, we have not fulfilled our duties correctly. Especially in this day and age, many of the youth have very valid questions. In the religion, and especially in the school of Ahlul Bayt, we encourage the asking of questions. Hasad is a vice. It means what? Somebody asks the question, what is hasad? What is envy in Islamic akhlaq? The answer is when we wish to remove a blessing or a favor of Allah upon an individual, and we wish to take it away from that person. Yes? When we, for example, look at what someone has, a new car, a new house, they have got a degree, they have, alhamdulillah, righteous children, and we say, you know, I can't believe this person has this. I wish they don't have it anymore. Yes. I wish this doesn't exist. I wish they become what? Devout of this completely. That is hasad. And by the way, it doesn't have to be said. It can be in the mind. When an individual thinks to remove or wishes that the ni'mah of somebody is removed, that is indeed what? That is indeed hasad. We have our ulama have said hasad has 3 levels. For example, Shahid al-Thani, one of our great ulama from Jabal Amil in Lebanon, he discusses hasad in his book and he says it has 3 levels. The first level of hasad, envy, is when you just want somebody's favor to be removed from them or to, not for them not to have it, number 1. But more so is when you want that to, for example, not to be with that individual, but for you to have it instead. So I don't want that person, for example, to have that position in the company, or for that individual to be the president of the Jama'at, for example, or for that speaker to be very good in his majalis. That's one level. The second is when you say, you know what, I don't want him to be a good speaker, but I want that ability to speak come to me. And the third level is what? Is no, I don't want him to be a good speaker, and I want myself not only to be the same as him, I want to be better than him and to have more than when he has. Yes, these are 3 which are forbidden in the religion of Islam. Yes, the Quran comes and denounces this particular practice. Yet there is another element which is called ghibta. Ghibta means what? Ghibta is when you see someone has something that you don't have and you say, Ya Allah, give me what they have. That is permissible. Allahu Akbar. Snapchat. What would have been the case today with all these tools that are effective and can be utilized for a good purpose? Sometimes we see people out there who are placing the fuel for hasad to happen. In which way? Every single thing that they own and they have and they receive, immediately it's up on the internet. Every single thing that they've been bestowed, all of a sudden they have to boast about it. Yes. Louis Vuitton bag, it's there. Yes. Immediately, yes. A Lamborghini car is standing next to it. A holiday in, for example, Barbados, it's there. They've checked in, feeling good. Yes. These things out there are a problem today. You might be thinking, what's the problem? It's a ni'mah Allah has blessed me, is halal. Yes, it's my wealth, I'm spending it. But you are increasing the likelihood of someone performing hasad on you. You are presenting them with this hasad on a plate. No doubt, yes. Therefore, of utmost importance today is that we recognize our responsibilities in this regard. Wallah, sometimes I wonder, when it comes to certain social media tools, like this Snapchat. The Snapchat people, they stand up, they snap. They sit down, they snap. They go to sleep, they snap. They eat curry, they snap. They speak to people, they snap. Don't they snap from using Snapchat? In the idea that when it comes to some of the things, there has to be a limit of privacy out there. Yes. And what is it that we are seeking when we are snapping everything? What is it that we're looking for? Yes. I tell you, no one snaps themselves in a state where they are really ill or about to, for example, go into operation, or their face is not pleasant to look at, no doubt. Because they're looking for that attention, they're looking for that like, they're looking for that approval from the people. It is not that it becomes not permissible to use these tools, but out of ethics and akhlaq, we have to develop the morals of utilizing social media for this particular purpose. And in addition to this, sometimes what do we do when we are interacting with our family members and others? Inadvertently, we're leading towards hasad. Let me give you examples. We look at, for example, our children sometimes, when they've come with examination results. They tell us, Father, I've received an A grade in my, for example, examination, or I've received a B. And then you look and say, why did that other boy in your class receive something higher than you? You didn't study as much as they did. You may have good intention, but that young boy of yours is now going to be envious of that other boy. He's going to think that what? I don't want that young person, that student, to have this grade because my father thinks that they're better than them. Yes. Or sometimes you see in marital relationships, this is very easy to happen. A husband is talking to his wife. He says, Allahu Akbar. I went to my friend's house. His wife cooked the best curry ever. What are you saying? You're making your wife jealous. Your wife's going to think that that particular individual, yes, is better than her. It is not suggesting that automatically they will commit, God forbid, hasad, but it is a step closer. And the shaitan has their ropes. It's saying, be careful of the repercussions of hasad. Understand the negative consequences. Be observant of how you think of what others have. Because if others have something and you don't have it, it is for a reason. What do we mean? Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala in the Holy Quran says, وَلَا تَمُدَّنَّ عَيْنَيْكَ إِلَى مَا مَتَّعْنَا بِهِ أَزْوَاجًا مِّنْهُمْ زَهْرَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا لِنَفْتِنَهُمْ فِيهِ. Allah says, don't extend your eyes towards that which others have that you do not have, because it's the pleasures of the world. I have given it to others. It will be a means of examination and test for them. You see, sometimes you see individuals suffering with ailments and illnesses. They're in hospital. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them shifa. When they're suffering, they look at other people who have health. They say, why are these people not suffering like I am? What have I done to go through so much pain? Why is there so much misfortune? Yes. And by the way, these kind of thoughts are placed in the minds of certain individuals by people who wish to distort them from the remembrance of God, from submission to Allah, for the belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala examines individuals. Yes. Cause problems to people. So for example, you have somebody who, God forbid, practices hasad, says, I want that ni'mah, I want that blessing to be removed from that individual. Can that individual be harmed? Our ulama says no. This min sharri hasidin idha hasad, from the bad impact of the one who is envious upon the one who is being envied. Yes, means what? It means they themselves, the person who is envious, will get the shar. They will be the recipients of evil and bad deeds. Not that the individual themselves will be necessarily affected. Now here's the discussion that people ask. What do you say about what? What do you say about the evil eye? How can we explain the evil eye? Because without a shadow of a doubt, there is often a tendency to resort to evil eye. And not only to resort to evil eye, people are seeking remedies. They say, can you help us? There is a immediate desperation. I myself and others have dealt with tons of cases as far as, for example, marital conflicts is concerned. My husband doesn't love me. It must be the ayn. My children don't listen to me. It's nazar. Yes. Question: does the religion of Islam accept the evil eye? Does it exist or not? Here we have a discussion amongst two groups, and please pay attention so that we are aware of the scenario. A group of scholars have come forward and said, yes, evil eye does exist. In which way? They say, look at the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ. And they understand this shar of the hasid to be the impact of certain forms of hasad. And they say certain forms of envy is indeed evil eye. There must be repercussions. There must be evil intentions. Number one. Number two, they say Yaqub alayhi salam, when he said to his sons, go towards Egypt, after they had held, their brother had been held by Yusuf alayhi salam, he says, idkhulu min abwabin mutafarriqa. Don't enter from the same gate. Enter from different gates towards the city. They say the reason why Yaqub alayhi salam said enter from different gates is because he was worried about the evil eye. Because people would look at the sons of Yaqub and what? And would inflict this injury or harm through the evil eye on them. Thirdly, and arguably the most important evidence they present is what is found in chapter 61, verse number 58. This verse is of prime importance, and I would like to draw your attention to this verse. The verse says, وَإِنْ يَكَادُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِيُزْلِقُونَكَ بِأَبْصَارِهِمْ لَمَّا سَمِعُوا الذِّكْرَ وَيَقُولُونَ إِنَّهُ لَمَجْنُونَ. The Quran says those disbelievers wish to harm you, devour you using their eyes and say that you are insane. وَمَا هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. They say it's clear that the Quran says that there are people who have used their eyes against the Prophet of Islam. Therefore, the evil eye exists and it is indeed harmful and detrimental to human beings. The response is given, and that is what? The response is given, number one, there is no evidence that this min sharri hasidin is the evil eye. Number two, how do we know Yaqub separated his sons, their entry towards the city, because he was afraid of nazar? And number three, this idea of interpreting this verse in the Quran that the disbelievers use their eyes is metaphorical. Because, for example, we have in the world of journalism, when you are giving an interview, or for example, you are on live television, the person who's presenting, if they give you an evil eye, that means, or if they stare at you, that means you've taken too long. You have to end your answer. So they say, just like how that is used metaphorically to mean end the answer, here the eye is used metaphorically that they are watching you to harm you physically through, for example, having a trap for you or spreading rumors about you. It's not necessary that it means exactly that the eye is being used by the disbelievers in terms of nazar or the evil eye. But there is a response to this. Notice how both camps have arguments and have evidence. The counter argument of this is what? We have narrations that point to the existence of the evil eye. Amir al-Mu'mineen wa Imam al-Muttaqeen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. He comes forward and says what? In Nahjul Balagha, he says, Al-Aynu Haqq. The evil eye is true. Yes, the Imam alayhi salam says, it definitely exists around him, and said, if you want to protect yourself from the evil eye, make sure that you recite Surah Al-Fatiha, Ayatul Kursi, Surah Al-Ikhlas, and Ma'udhatayn. Qul a'udhu bi Rabbil Nas and Qul a'udhu bi Rabbil Falaq. Recite these, but not only recite it, write it down and carry it with you. It will be a protection for you. It will be a means by which you are protected. Yes? That is one recommendation of the 8th Holy Imam. The 6th Holy Imam has another recommendation. He says, in addition to all this, make sure you say, Ma sha Allah, la quwwata illa billah, al-Ali al-azim. He says, repeat this often to say, MashaAllah, la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim. We are told in narrations of the Ahl al-Bayt, one dhikr is of great importance that repels any malicious intentions of the evil eye, and that is when the individual recites salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In addition to all this, of great significance and benefit is sadaqah, is to pay charity for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is so significant. You know, the narration after narration says, you want to be protected, you want to be safeguarded, then give for the sake of Allah. And by the way, sometimes when we give sadaqah, when we give charity for the sake of Allah, we think we've done a favor to that person. You and I may have helped their dunya, but they have helped our akhirah.